Okay, so I am back, and what I wanted to do actually now is some reaction. I need to do my reaction, like my streaming duty, basically content creation duty. I will check out some stuff, and I actually want to share it with you. Uh, while I do it, did I just explain what the fuck reaction is? I've prepared like a couple things that like interest, a couple videos that interest me. Uh, let me, and I need to motivate myself about like, if not living, like, keep on living. So, fuck. Um, let's start by actually some AI video. All right, because I've been liking really these AI videos um quite a fucking lot. So these reaction videos are not like that great because fuck. I have no clue why the fuck I am sneezing, but it is what it is. So yeah, reacting to these AI videos are like not the greatest, but like still, um, still, I don't know. Like gives some backstory, gives me some free lore, and yeah, maybe something to talk about. So let me just set this thing up real quick. Okay, right. And just so yeah, let me do this again. Okay, so let's react to the Scarlet Crusade. These are some AI videos, lore, wow, obscure, wow, lore videos. It is quite fun. It is quite fine. So let me just set this up real quick. It's made by a Yaboy Tyler, and it is quite fucking good. I really like these ones, and I think that like they deserve more like shares and respect, and like it really shows like something about like that um that we get to that we get to experience that is completely new, to be honest. So yeah, let me just, where is it? Mm-mm-mm. All right. Okay, let me just check my sound real quick as well. Uh, okay. So, yeah, it's fine. I'll just. Mm. Okay, should be better. Mm. and browser. Scarlet Crusader. Here you go. Yeah. Okay, so let's do this again. Um, so this video is only made by AI, by yeah boy Tyler. These are like some obscure lore videos that are quite fascinating to me, to be honest, because it really shows like some potential about like a technology that is like not quite maybe understood, maybe like used, and it is not as popular. It is not not as popular as it should be, as it does really like show something. So let's react to the Scarlet Crusade, some obscure lore video about the Scarlet Crusade from WoW. Like, I haven't heard from them in a while, so let's check this out.
The Scarlet Crusade refers to the fanatical religious sect that encompasses the remaining human survivors in Lordaeron, which arose after the plague of undeath ravaged their lands and destroyed their kingdom. The term crusade evokes imagery of a virtuous and aggressive campaign sweeping across the ruins of Lordaeron to take back the lands from the Scourge. This is not the case. In truth, the Scarlet Crusade is losing a long, protracted defensive war, as the tides of undead throw themselves against the Crusaders' remaining holdouts, grinding them down through sheer attrition. By the time Naxxaramas began to float over the Plague Lands, only 4 major Crusader settlements were operational, all of which linger on the coastal fringes of the Plague Lands, seemingly accessible to one another via the seas. The first of these holdouts, the Scarlet Monastery, can be found on the northeast coast of Tirisfal Glades. This sprawling fortress cathedral was once a proud bastion of Lordaeron's priesthood, a center for learning and enlightenment. The monastery rose to prominence in the war against the Scourge, as the holy light wielded by its clergy could not only heal the wounds of the living, but could also smite the undead. As the war dragged on, the monastery's residents became intolerant of all non-human races, regardless of alliance or affiliation. They believe that any and all outsiders are potential carriers of the undead plague and must be destroyed, an extremist viewpoint which has been adopted by the entirety of the Scarlet Crusade. Reports indicate that adventurers who enter this complex are forced to contend with Commander Renaud Mograine, the son of Alexandros Mograine, the legendary Ashbringer, and greatest hope against the undead Scourge. However, it has been revealed that the monastery's true master is High Inquisitor Whitemane, a fearsome priestess of terrifying powers and a strict, dogmatic resolve. Her inquisition is fearsome and brutal, each day narrowing the gap between the atrocities committed by her interrogators and those by the Lich King. North of the cursed city of Anderhall, the quaint town of Hearthglen is held firmly by the Crusade. Ironically, the town was able to fend off the Scourge in the Third War due to the efforts of Prince Arthas Menethil prior to his corruption into a Death Knight, as well as Uther the Lightbringer, the first of the paladins who founded the Knights of the Silver Hand. Another of its founding members, Tyrion Fordring, was the regional governor of Hearthglen prior to the Third War, though by the events of the Plague, he had been excommunicated from his position, leaving his son Talon to hold the title as the town was converted to a Crusader castle. Under Talon's command, the town kept its verdant appearance as the rest of Lordaeron became toxic and blighted. The buildings here are well maintained and share similar architecture to those found in any of the more peaceful human cities in the southern kingdoms. Outside the walls of Hearthglen, the Crusaders run a sizable lumber industry, harvesting the healthy trees for timber and culling the sickly ones to prevent the infection from spreading. The people of Hearthglen have remained optimistic, and one could even be forgiven to mistake this place for Elwyn Forest on one of its sunnier afternoons, just with different colored banners and heavily armored knights on a constant patrol. The Crusaders' walled city of Tyr's Hand shares a similar aesthetic, with its green grass and clear skies, though sometimes marred by the sight of Naxxaramas just off in the distance. Tyr's Hand is one of the oldest and most revered holy sites of the Church of the Light, and was known as a city of churches due to its religious significance. However, Tyr's Hand provides much more than spiritual guidance to the rest of the crusade. The bulk of the crusade's food is grown here, providing vital supplies to those crusaders who are locked in battle across the Plague Lands. One of the Scarlet Crusade's founders, the High General Bridget Abendis, can be found in this place. Abendis was present when then-Commander Alexandros Mograine revealed his plan to forge the ultimate weapon that would become known as the Ashbringer. And she instilled all her hate and zeal into the crystal found in the blade's hilt. This sword proved to be a complete anathema to the undead, vaporizing dozens of mindless zombies with each righteous swing. The Ashbringer instilled hope in the dwindling number of Lordaeron survivors, as this period marked the one time any significant progress was made towards halting the Scourge's advance, and ground was actually retaken from their horrid clutches. Alexandros planned on completely destroying the Scourge, leading his men with the Ashbringer as an instrument of their will. But this plan all came crashing down in the final Crusade garrison in Stratholme. In the heart of Stratholme City, behind the countless thousands of its undead occupants, lies the Scarlet Bastion, under command of Seydan Dathrohan. Another founder of the Crusade, Dathrohan was present with Alexandros Mograine when their Crusaders attempted the counterattack against the Scourge. During this assault, Dathrohan was separated from his forces and came face to face with the greater demon known as Balnazar, an independent agent in this war, who held no love for the living or the dead. The demon slew Dathrohan and possessed his body before returning to his forces and assuming the commander's position in the campaign. The deceitful Balnazar manipulated Alexandros' son Renaud to kill his father in Stratholme, an act of betrayal which corrupted the Holy Ashbringer and ended any hope of assault against the Scourge. Ever since Renaud murdered his father, the Crusade has been reduced to a series of feudal strongholds to fall before humanity's final breath, a rattled, unheard whisper. Balnazar still tends to the Scarlet Bastion in the guise of the Grand Crusader, exploiting the Crusade to his own ends until they have no use left for him. The corrupted Ashbringer, meanwhile, has been claimed by Darian Mograine, Alexandros' younger son, who wields it as the Scourge's greatest Death Knight in their flying citadel of Naxxaramas. The Scarlet Crusade wages a holy war for survival, its members pushed to fanatical zealotry in the face of an utter apocalypse. The juxtaposition of their devotion with the horrors which lurk outside their walls underscores the Crusade's sheer desperation. Though blessed with divine powers, their gods have forsaken them, and the Crusade no longer wishes to save the decayed corpse of their kingdom, but cleanse it to ashes and sacred fire. They have become enamored with hate and isolation, to the point of dogmatic extremism. They have exhausted every other resource at their disposal, and are now driven only by the desperate need to stay alive. For every one of their own who falls in battle, their enemy grows in strength.
Okay, so this was the Scarlet Crusade by your boy Tyler. I am religious of this content. I am religious. This is pristine. This is magnificent. I cannot believe that I get to see the fucking Scarlet Crusade best girl. Where is she? Like, I actually found her right away. Best girl Sally Whitemane. So this is Sally Whitemane in fucking real life. Was me being a simp. But other than that, like you can see the fucking Bastion, Scarlet Crusade, Scarlet Monastery. Like uh who haven't done the Scarlet fucking Monastery? A lot of people, but actually, a lot of people got to fucking discover the Scarlet Monastery and why it is so good. Uh, I'll get to rediscover it as I go back to this content later. But seeing this, so basically, I don't know if it comes from like lore. So basically, the dude, yeah, boy Tyler, it transcribes the lore, right? It just puts it and he uses AI for like basically best girl of uh, fucking Scarlet Monastery, but basically to provide uh, this content. Let me just because like I saw like this is like there is so much to say about it. Like and so okay, so this is looking like a movie. First off, well, this looks like a movie taken like the writers, the people who write this lore are actually mega fans. Like people that are like absolutely like passionate and not fucking like jaded or hateful of WoW content. It's just like fucking like basically they're the people that you do not get to play with when you play WoW because they don't fucking like talk to you unless you find them, right? And unless you become friends with them, right? But basically it talks about like so this demon in Stratholm, you actually like face him. He actually for a quest, I think even gives you like a legendary weapon temporarily. You get to see. Wait. You can move this. Okay. Um, like the sky. Here it is. So this is basically like this. This is basically the Scarlet Monastery. Like if you know this place, like if you played WoW for long enough, if you know this, if you well obviously well you will know the Scarlet Monastery, but basically like you know exactly where it is, and you know that like this before this on the left, I'm trying to show you stuff on my like basically like there is like you have to kind of not there are stairs on the left of this picture that if you know you know, but it talks about like so many things. It's able to render so many things. Like I actually discovered lore that I actually care about because WoW was my favorite game ever. I love this game. This game is my life basically, and my youth. So yeah, like, can you believe that? This is like Naxxramas, right? Where it is. Look at that. Like, isn't that fucking pristine? Like, fucking, like, give this content love. Like, this is, like, fucking just unbelievable. You get, basically, mm, simply explain, you get a free, audiobook with like some AI so imagined like cutscenes. This is the same place that I showed just before, with the how is it called? Um, ah, fuck, I forgot the water thing. I don't remember the name. Fuck. Uh, the the water source, whatever. I don't remember. Fuck. What is it? How is it called? This thing? I don't remember even in my native language, which is actually stupid at this point. Water fountain. Like this water fucking fountain. If you know, you know. Like, but you get to see more grain that you kill in Nextramas, that you slay in Nextramas. You get to see like the Ashbringer and a story. So I didn't knew the story about the Ashbringer, but I know that like if you bring the Ashbringer to the Scarlet Monastery, well, basically this happens. Uh, so this will connect kind of like so like you get to see the place that like the dude is actually talking about. So so basically, this is the Scarlet Monastery. You can even feel that the vibes are not off, you know. And basically, if you bring so this is the corrupted. So the weapon is the corrupted Ashbringer, right? If you bring it back, everyone becomes friendly. Even like more grand yells, like it's insane, and they bow to you, literally, they bow to you. So yeah. Um, so yeah, let me. So this is good stuff. This is actually good stuff. Anyway, so yeah, the whole story of the Ashbringer, the Scarlet Monastery. Like at this point, like I am just like promoting and enjoying this content. Uh, as I do, like you gotta watch some AI generated lore content. It's actually this good. Like I haven't spoke for like 10 minutes. I just don't want to ruin it. I just don't want to ruin it. So yeah, yeah, just give some love to yeah boy Tyler. Um wait, I'm not subscribed. I'll actually subscribe. Um Give some love to yeah boy Tyler. This dude deserves way more views. So yeah, just 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 give some love to this content. Like this is good stuff. Anyway, um, so anyway, okay. Next on, what do I have prepared? So the something about like movie so s- um something about like story writing like remember Games of Thrones Like, remember when Games of Thrones was cool? Yeah, basically, I do too. It's been a while. It talks about like, it is called the greatest, um, the greatest character introduction in TV history. So let me just, so yeah, let's just check this out. It will be like,
If
let's just check
another
this
house
out.
can seize one of our
So what's his name? If I remember, this is Tywin Lannister.
If another house can seize one of our own and hold him captive with impunity, we are no longer a house to be feared.
This is Tywin Lannister, probably the most powerful man in Westeros, and he's about to deliver one of the greatest character introductions in television history. When I say this, I'm not exaggerating. This scene is effortlessly brilliant, because in just a few minutes, we get a masterclass in character development that shows us exactly who Tywin Lannister is. There's no grand entrance or unnecessary exposition, just a man butchering a stag while lecturing his son about power. And somehow, that tells us everything we need to know about him. And the funny thing is, just like the other scenes I've analyzed earlier,
So I think that like when it comes to like creating powerful characters, personalities, it's all about basically more of a, like if you show power, you lose a lot of it. It just becomes like unbelievable and quite like not as captivating, let's say. Like it is quite the thin line when it comes to like storytelling, where like to show power, you need to show only you cannot just like blast people with that, because it, let's just watch. But like I agree with what you
this
said.
one isn't in the books either. It was originally
It didn't said anything about it. Okay.
written by David Benioff and D.B. Weiss. Now, I know what you're thinking, and no, I'm not secretly being paid to fix their reputation, but let's be honest, when they got it right, they really got it right. And this scene is one of those times they absolutely nailed it. So, what makes this scene so great? What makes it one of the greatest character introductions in television history? I mean, of course, I'll talk about all of these things in detail, but first we need some context. By this point in the story, Starks and Lannisters are basically at each other's
So this is actually quite good, because remember what I said about remember when I told you less than 5 minutes ago. Remember when Games of Thrones was cool? Yeah, right. It's been a while. It's been a while. Quite the fucking like. So I missed it. I missed it. So let's. So thank you for the context. Thank you for some context. Valeritas. Like this is good stuff. So let's check this out. Remember when Games of Thrones was cool? We get a nostalgia trip back to when it was the fucking thing.
we need some context. By this point in the story, Starks and Lannisters are basically at each other's throats, because Catelyn Stark has kidnapped Tyrion, and everyone knows this is pretty much a declaration of war. And even though Tywin couldn't care less about Tyrion, he can't just let something like that slide. So he gathers his forces. Meanwhile, Jaime being Jaime and attacks Ned Stark. So right in the middle of all this chaos, we get this scene. Tywin and Jaime in a war tent, where Tywin is calmly skinning a deer while absolutely tearing his son apart. And speaking of which, that stag Charles Dance's skinning was real.
And they said, "You ever butchered a deer before?" I said, "No."
They brought in a deer that had already died, and Charles Dance learned how to skin it on the very day they were filming. I mean, it's mind-blowing that an actor could pick up such a complex skill on the spot while still delivering such a commanding, unforgettable performance.
So actually, it's unbelievable to learn that, but it's also macabre that the actor is quite fitting. They really choose the right person for the role, huh? Because it's quite macabre. So you're gonna play a dude. So for today's mission, your mission is to learn how to skin a fucking deer, my bro. My friend, you get to fucking do that. And the dude was like, hell yeah, Let's do it.
Just look at him. Even the way he handles the knife is so precise, so natural that it makes Tywin feel terrifyingly real. From the moment he appears on screen, you instantly get that he's not just a father lecturing his son. He's someone who's completely in control of everything around him. Every move, every word coming out of his mouth has a purpose, just as you would expect from Tywin's character. On the other hand, the scene also shows us Jaime in a completely different light. This is the first time we get a glimpse of his vulnerable side. Up until now, the show portrayed him as this confident, unstoppable warrior, the famous Lion of Lannister. But watching this scene makes you realize that Lannister Lion was never Jaime at all. It was Tywin.
Poor Ned Stark. Brave man, terrible judgment.
We actually paused in the same time. Yeah. Remember when Tywin was when Jaime was was the fucking like greatest? Did you notice how you forgot because the show kept on going while him being destroyed by life, like, yeah, what a great show. Anyway.
If you take a closer look at this moment, you can actually see the first signs of doubt creeping into Jaime's face. Look at him right after he says that line. The smirk he gives his father is full of expectation. It's subtle, but it says a lot. This moment is actually a reflection of everything Jaime feels about Ned Stark. As we find out later in the show, Jaime's been holding a grudge against Ned for years, resenting him for seeing him as a man without honor and passing a harsh judgment on him. So here, Jaime is kind of throwing out a bait to his father, hoping for some validation, hoping that his father will back him up. But Tywin doesn't give him what he's looking for. You can literally see Jaime's expression changing when it happens. Instead of criticizing Ned, he turns the tables completely on his own son.
Attacking him was stupid.
Now this is the moment where Tywin truly starts playing his game. Just as I said, everything he says here has a purpose. The whole point of this speech is to break Jaime down so he can rebuild him into the man he thinks he should be. He knows Jaime inside and out. He knows his insecurities, his weaknesses. So he starts by making him feel stupid and then reminds him that Lannisters don't act like fools. Jaime's probably used to this by now. You can actually tell it from the look on his face. But what's really interesting is that if you are a careful viewer, you would know that this dynamic between them was already set up way back in the very first episode.
There was nothing to be afraid of until you told Father. Lannisters don't act like fools.
Lannisters don't act like fools.
But even though
Okay, this is brilliant. This is brilliant. I don't know if they did it. I don't know if the dude is right. I guess well, we can know. Like, let's send a fucking letter to the fucking writers. But if he is, they are even more amazing than I thought.
Even though Jaime knows about this, he still tries to explain himself.
Go on, say something clever.
Catelyn Stark took my brother.
Why is he still alive?
Tyrion?
Ned Stark.
One of our men interfered. Speared him through the leg before I could finish him.
Why is he still alive?
Now, there's a lot to unpack here. First of all, Tywin asking why is he still alive feels a bit random and doesn't exactly flow with the conversation. Jaime's obviously confused by it, but if you know Tywin from the books, it actually makes perfect sense. Because in the books, one of the first things we learn about Tywin is that he doesn't believe in half measures. And from Tywin's perspective, attacking Ned but not finishing him off is exactly that. For Tywin, it's actually pretty simple. If you're going to attack someone, why not kill them? And if you're not going to kill them, why bother attacking in the first place? This is actually a perfect example of how Tywin Lannister operates. Practical, direct, and ruthless. But of course, that doesn't mean Tywin expects Jaime to kill Ned. What he's really doing here is challenging Jaime's way of thinking and poking at his sense of honor, which Tywin clearly has no respect for. It's all about getting Jaime to reveal what's really going on inside his head, so Tywin can use it against him. However, Jaime isn't falling for it, at least not at first. Maybe he's just used to his father's tricks, or maybe he knows Tywin will just mock him if he opens up. Either way, Jaime doesn't give him the truth. That's why Tywin repeats the question, because he's not satisfied with the first response. And eventually Jaime...
Each time you saw Tywin, you could feel the pressure when, like, this actor is just unbelievable. Just unbelievable. You can, just like rewatching him right now, like, it gives me like the fucking gives me the fucking pressure. Like, something that authority is here, that the important person is here, even after all these years. This shows us how well the actor, whose name is, let me check real quick. Um, Charles Dance, like, actually is. Like, it is insane. Like, just take the time to just like watch him, like for like 10 seconds, right? And just take the time to fucking like be pressured, just like back in the day, just like back in the day. Some things do not change.
Jamie cracks.
It wouldn't have been clean.
You spend too much time worrying about what other people think of you.
I could care less what anyone thinks of me.
Now, this moment is really important because this is the first time we see Jamie for who he is. A man stuck between wanting to be honorable and hiding behind the Kingslayer name as his shield, and the reason he doesn't kill Ned is actually buried somewhere in this dilemma. We all know that Ned Stark is one of the most honorable men in Westeros, so killing him like that would not only ruin whatever reputation Jamie has left, but more importantly, it would confirm everything Ned thinks about him. And Tywin sees right through all of it.
You know, that's what you want people to think of you.
It's the truth.
I mean, think about it. This is season 1, episode 7. At this point, we barely know anything about Jamie, and he's still a bit of a mystery. But Tywin's insight into him is almost like a preview of everything we'll eventually learn about him. He even noticed.
I remember watching Game of Thrones. So when I discovered Games of Thrones, Games of Thrones, Game of Thrones, I watched it. It was a Friday, I think. It was already fully released. The 10 first episodes. It was 10 episodes. My best friend at the time, basically was coming for the weekend, and I spent like the next day I rewatched it. Like, it was this good. Like, it was so ahead of its time when it got released. Like, the first season was so ahead of its time. Like, it was unbelievable to see this. Maybe I'll this this dude this dude gives us some, like, maybe I'll rewatch it. Maybe I'll rewatch it. Maybe probably we'll never get the time. I don't know. But stuff is so good.
Notices things that Jamie wouldn't admit to himself. And when he asks that follow-up question, everything suddenly makes sense.
This should have kept on going. Like, with the production value, like 9 seasons, doesn't matter. This should have gone for 100. It should have become like Game of Thrones could have became at least like the fucking, like, not the One Piece of TV shows, but something in between Bleach and One Piece. So basically like a long, even longer TV show. It was like cutted for some reason. It wasn't following the books, if I remember correctly. It wasn't. It was the bad ending for that, which left like a bitter fucking like feeling for a lot of fans. It should have kept on going, like just like watching, like just rewatching like this this small piece of media where like basically zero that tent and nothing is going on, uh makes me really fucking value how well is it choose the actors, how fucking like great the fucking production value was, the fucking like, and the armors and the fucking like clothing and the weapons and everything. And yeah, this should have kept on going and not fall for like the fucking commercial way where it's like, let's get it, let's fucking give up and fucking like not be patient with because like the books were like still writing, like the dude was still writing the books as they were releasing. So basically, like I don't know, dude. Yeah, it's a shame. It was still fucking like. Remember when Games of Thrones was the best TV show in the fucking world? Yeah, I remember that. I was there.
When you hear them whispering Kingslayer behind your back, doesn't it bother you?
Of course, it bothers me.
The thing is, this is not really a question. Tywin's not asking this out of curiosity. He wants to push Jaime towards a realization. He already knows what Jaime's gonna say, but he asks anyway, just to hit him with that crucial lesson.
A lion doesn't concern himself with the opinions of the sheep.
Honestly, this line is brilliant, because it's not just a lesson for Jaime, it's also a perfect reflection of Tywin's take on power and how he views his family's role in all of it. On top of that, this one line ties everything in the scene together so perfectly and adds this sharp allegorical layer that makes it one of the greatest moments of the entire show.
So one thing that it doesn't mention that like it gets talked about, like you get to notice more, is that Tywin actually carries the symbol of the Lannisters within his personality. That like he said, he is the lion, but in a way that like he portrays it, he talks about it, he is proud to be a lion. It is not something that he chose. He didn't choose to be a lion. He was born a lion, but uh, but but he accepted, and it took the Mendel in. Yeah, he actually like wears the lion proudly. Where's the personality of the lion? Where's like he is the lion, like quite personally. And this is what's like, this is something also really important to Tywin Lannister's character. I think that like he is like the Lannisters sayings about them. He knows them all. He says them over and over again. It basically becomes his personality. But this is like kind of like a reverse type of logic where like he so he becomes like all the catchphrases. So Tywin is basically all the catchphrases of the Lannisters personified, as well as the symbols. So the lion and like the gold and basically being wealthy, rich. And but this is like kind of like this inverse logic where like when you describe like, if you describe like TV character or like a fictional character, TV show or anime character as, so base let me just like show this with like explaining it to you with an example. um like basically, if you describe like Tywin Lannister being like, so he only says the catchphrases of his house or his clan, and he only see himself as the symbol of it. It sounds really um really really dull, really like empty as a character, but that's where like the personality actually shows in, and that's where like you see that like the Lannisters also like their Mendel is actually authority and order, right? But like, and you can see that like the actor fucking just nails it. He really succeeds at being like this catchphrase symbolic character that is actually has more personality than a lot of other characters, while technically when you describe it being really simple. And this is something like in storytelling that is really intricate, so complicated to do. But when you do that, well, you get someone that actually like fucking talks about it and said that like this that basically like he is the greatest while another dude explain it to you. Like, this is great storytelling. I don't know where I'm going with this, but what's important is just like this reverse logic of what's simple is complicated, what's complicated is simple for some storytelling or some characters, fictional or not, actually.
I mean, think about it. In nature, a lion is at the top of the food chain and superior to sheep, or in this case, to a stag, just like the one Tywin is butchering. And Tywin believes in this natural order so strongly that he applies it directly to his family. In his eyes, just like in their sigils, the Lannisters are lions, and therefore it's only natural for them to dominate everyone else. In this context, Tywin butchering a stag, which represents House Baratheon, is not a coincidence. It's actually a perfect metaphor of a lion hunting its prey. But the scene does more than just symbolize this order. It also foreshadows what's to come. After eliminating the Baratheons, the Lannisters will be the true power behind the throne.
Smart.
As the scene continues, Tywin keeps throwing these sharp observations at Jaime, and you can tell it's really getting to him. Jaime's face says it all. He's getting more and more pissed off, and by this point of the scene, he's not even trying to hide it anymore.
So you can even see the effect of the personality, and basically like just like letting yourself like become the character from the actor himself, which is like, I feel that like there is a part that is not played, but that is felt and truly like reacted to, as the actor of Jaime really becomes tired and really like feel oppressed by by Tywin, right? Just because of how great Tywin is and the actor playing it is.
I suppose I should be grateful that your vanity got in the way of your recklessness.
So, how does Jaime react to all this? Well, he does what he always does. He tries to deflect with sarcasm. Just as Tywin lays out all of his contradictions, Jaime spots a flaw in his father's words and thinks he can use it against him, but of course, Tywin isn't having any of it. Before Jaime even gets the chance to finish his words, Tywin shuts him down. He reasserts his dominance. But this time, it's not just his words, it's his voice that reminds Jaime of who's in charge.
I didn't realize you placed such a high value on my brother's life.
He's a Lannister. He might be the lowest of the Lannisters, but he's one of us. And every day that he remains a prisoner, the less our name commands respect.
So the lion does concern himself with the opinions
No,
of...
that's not an opinion, it's a fact.
At first, you might think Tywin's just raising his voice because he's been exposed, but that's not.
So like the line, that's not an opinion, that's a fact. It exactly portrays this what I was talking about just the fact that like Tywin and the actor is more a symbol, and basically like is more the lion than he is Tywin. He is more it is more the Lannister than he is the Tywin, kinda.
Not it at all. When he calls it as a fact, he means it because it's rooted in a harsh reality he experienced in the past, one that Jaime could never understand. And this background, which the books explore a lot more, is key to understanding why Tywin sees the world the way he does. In the books, we learn that Tywin was shaped by his father's failures in a way that defined his entire life. Lord Tydos was a good man, but he was weak, too soft to command respect. The other lords didn't just ignore him, they openly laughed at him. They even gave him a nickname, the Toothless Lion. For a Lannister, that kind of nickname wasn't just an insult. It was a serious hit to the family's reputation. And Tywin saw it all. He saw how that weakness, the inability to inspire fear, nearly brought House Lannister to ruin. Only then he made a choice. He would never let that happen to his family again. He would never make the same mistakes his father did. And to make sure of it, he didn't hesitate to take extreme measures whenever necessary. Once you understand this, also this line makes a lot more sense.
If another house can seize one of our own and hold him captive with impunity, we are no longer a house to be feared.
And of course, this whole thing also connects Tywin's character to Machiavelli's teachings perfectly. We all know that Tywin is pretty much the definition of a Machiavellian character on the show, and honestly, this moment is the perfect example why. Because his mindset right here is exactly in line with something Machiavelli once said. It is much safer to be feared than loved, because love is preserved by the link of obligation which, owing to the baseness of men, is broken at every opportunity for their advantage. But fear preserves you by a dread of punishment, which never fails.
Yes.
At this point, it's hard to say if Jamie's catching all the layers in what his father is saying, but one thing's clear. Tywin's words hit him hard. You can see it on his face, he's definitely caught off guard, but Tywin's not done yet. So once again, he drops another bomb.
Your mother's dead. Before long, I'll be dead. And you, and your brother, and your sister, and all of her children. All of us dead. All of us rotting in the ground. It's the family name that lives on. It's all that lives on. Not your personal glory, not your honor, but family.
If anyone ever asked me to describe Tywin Lannister as a character,
You get to see once again what I was talking about Tywin being the tool of the Lannisters. He is he is less of a person more than he is this symbol, and this is what makes it just so fascinating, because remember when Games of Thrones was actually the greatest show on fucking the greatest show fucking ever. I miss these days. God damn.
I'd point them straight to this moment, because this one line sums up everything Tywin stands for perfectly. In just a few words, we understand exactly what matters most to him.
Do you understand?
With those lines, Tywin finally gets to the heart of what he's been building up to, and he's ready to deliver the final blow to Jaime. If you've been paying close attention, you might have already noticed something interesting. Throughout most of this scene, Tywin barely looks at Jaime. It's like skinning that deer is more important than having this conversation with him. But now, he starts shifting his attention. Even though he's not done with the deer, he takes a moment to clean his hands and then delivers one of the most insidious manipulations we've ever seen in Game of Thrones.
This is also what creates power is to be able to just like I said, skinning the action that he performs perfectly well enough is macabre. So it really adds something to the character that is that you do not see. It's basically basically it's some person performing an autopsy while having a political conversation. It will feel powerful either way, right? But you don't get to see that because doctors don't fucking talk about politics this way while basically opening corpses, right? But also the fact that so the different what you can see and you can feel that past the introduction of Tywin, it is where actions and words do not connect. So he is basically a machine, right? He is basically really skilled, and he does what he does, and it does not matter what he talks about. While other characters will talk about things and will act differently as if depending on the conversation, right? So let's say you ride a horse, you're fighting, you're training you're training yourself to fight with swords, or I don't know, you're cooking. Depending on the conversation, a lot of characters will kind of adapt their way to act to the conversation ongoing. While one side that really makes Tywin really this cold and powerful is that this is completely separate, and you can feel it, that it is completely separate from the conversation, compared to Tywin, to Jaime or other characters that will actually react quite emotionally, and depending on the conversation will do not perform the same, will not have. I found the way to say it. No matter what happens, the skill of Tywin Lannister will not change depending on the weather or what happens in his life during the. It is not the case for a lot of characters, and this is a mark of power, being able to not connect the weather, what's going on, to what you're doing. This is a mark of power.
You're blessed with abilities that few men possess. You're blessed to belong to the most powerful family in the kingdoms, and you're still blessed with youth. And what have you done with these blessings, huh? You've served as a glorified bodyguard for 2 kings. One a madman, the other a drunk.
Let me explain it this way. Basically, there are 2 kinds of motivation. The first kind is the positive one, the kind that makes you feel good about yourself. It encourages you to move forward, to grow, and to reach for your goals, but in a healthy and constructive way. But then there's the second kind, the more insidious one. Instead of building you up, it tears you down. It makes you feel like you should be doing better, but somehow it's never quite enough. Like you're always falling short, always making the wrong choices. And that's exactly what Tywin does to Jaime. First, he acknowledges what Jaime has, what sets him apart from others. But then with just one sentence, he tears down his entire life and identity. The Kingsguard is supposed to be the highest honor for a knight in Westeros. 7 of the finest warriors in the realm, sworn to protect the king with their lives. But Tywin reduces this prestigious position to glorified bodyguard and then further diminishes it by pointing out that Jaime has served 2 unworthy kings. In that moment, Tywin isn't just criticizing Jaime's choices. He's suggesting that his choices have been meaningless, his sacrifices pointless, and his pride misplaced. And then, when Jaime is at his lowest, Tywin offers him a way out.
I need you to become the man you were always meant to be. Not next year, not tomorrow.
Just look at him. Before this, he could barely spare a glance at his son, but now, when he's delivering those lines, he doesn't take his eyes off Jaime for a second. And to make it even more powerful, he adds this physical touch.
And you can see that, like, what I was talking about, connecting actions to what is going on. Now you can actually see that, like, it connected what he's doing to the conversation, and now he uses it as a tool, and this is brilliant because this is like basically like he was doing something else and wasn't concerned, so you only get to chat with them, right? Kind of like an NPC in a video game. But then he stopped. He finished. He was done with what he's doing, and then he connected what he is doing to what he is talking about, and you can see the power because, like I said, his skill doesn't change, and you can, like, as a character introduction, like what he doesn't mention enough is that, like, this tension, this power, this pressure that Tywin gives off never really changes during, like, during Games of Thrones. Like, it never shifts. The actor is extraordinary, just like unbelievable.
You see, this is exactly what makes Tywin a master manipulator. He's not just playing with words, he's also using his body language to control the situation. And from that moment on, Jaime is basically in the palm of his father's hand. By the time he walks out of that tent, you can just feel it. He's completely broken. But perhaps the most ironic part is that we never actually get to see whether that speech changes Jaime, because right after this scene, Jaime walks straight into Robb Stark's trap and ends up getting captured. He spends almost a year in captivity, loses his hand, and is forced to face himself in ways he never thought possible. When you see it that way, yes, Jaime does change, but not because of Tywin. It happens in the weight of the chains, in the loss of his hand, as he's forced to rebuild himself from the ground up. I mean, there's definitely something poetic about it, and it definitely adds this incredible layer to even Tywin's downfall. Because Tywin has always been a man who truly believes he can shape his son with just one conversation, control Westeros through sheer will and manipulation, and that not even the gods could stand in his way.
Which is, I think that, like, characters like this actually can do this. but you cannot control the external world. You can build people, you can construct people, you can teach people, but you cannot fucking like control everything about them. So, or what happens to them. So I think it is really right, and it actually is more right than you think it is. This is actually like, I love this type of analysis.
But fate, karma, or whatever you call it, has other plans. No matter how powerful he is, his fate, just like Jamie's, ends up being shaped by forces beyond his control. And in the end, for all his power and cunning, he dies in the most humiliating way possible, leaving behind a ton of plans that he never even got to carry out. What is more ironic than a great man who thought he was in control of everything, only to realize he had lost control of his own destiny?
Wow.
So if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate if you could leave a comment, give a like, and click to subscribe. Your support will greatly help the mysterious algorithm notices me. And if you want to support me personally, you can join the channel by using the join button. See you next time.
Thank you so much, Valartas. I'll subscribe to Valaritas. This was brilliant. Like, he actually talks about, like, remember when Games of Thrones was actually the greatest TV show ever made? Yeah, I remember to goddamn time flies, huh? If you wanna cry, I feel you. I feel you. So yeah, but yeah, and actually yeah, and he dies the most humiliating way. It is true. Like, I remember, spoilers by the way, spoilers for Games of Thrones. Do you care about that? But yeah, I think that like he really like noticed something, and the scene like actually. Like, do I go like through like the fucking like mm, uh like Games of Thrones rabbit hole? Maybe I will, but it really like points out something about like the actor, and you gotta admit, like, Games of Thrones ending really left a lot of people sad and mad and hateful. But Games of Thrones, like, in general, what the fuck? We we really fucking got a fucking great TV show, huh? What the fuck? So yeah, this was like the greatest character introduction in TV history by far. With us, do knew a lot of I love this type of analysis. So give him some love. I'll actually probably will as well. Anyway. So I wanted to actually um react to the celebrity. So I've been playing more World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft got released. Remember MTV? Do you remember MTV? Do you fucking remember M fucking TV? Well, let's watch. Like back in the day, World of Warcraft used to do well, TV. They did some TV ads, some TV commercials with celebrities, and it is quite the fucking like. It is quite the fucking. It is quite odd. So let's just rewatch this. Let's go back to the 2000s, to the fucking like millennial era, and watch some good fucking commercials. What can't you fucking love about that?
Hey everybody, Crimnatic here. Just to let you know, the special 5-mount giveaway will be announced in the next video. Stay tuned and let's get straight to the video. During the mid to late 2000s, we witnessed some of the best gaming advertisements seen on TV. World of Warcraft commercials help promote the hype around the mystique of the lands of Azeroth, as well as being one of the best celebrity endorsed games of all time, with their epic line of cast conveying their World of Warcraft story. And it's also a very nostalgic time for me and many others around the world, as it's been a decade since these commercials aired that made me, my brother and millions around the world fall in love with World of Warcraft even more. I have added subtitles and altered footage for better quality, so without hesitation and great joy, this is every celebrity commercial for World of Warcraft.
Thank you so much, Carrie Natic, for like the scare. I love you, dude. Thank you so much. You actually fucking made my day by actually like searching for this.
Mr. T has the greatest hair in the world. You can't deny it. It's been proven by science, fool.
Fucking Mr.
Now
T,
you can
bro.
have the greatest hair in the world of Warcraft with the Mohawk grenade. Yeah, wherever I go, I'm making Warcraft look good. So don't give me no back talk. Try World of Warcraft free at warcraft.com.
Find a Night Elf Mohawk in-game and claim your Mohawk grenades.
At Warcraft.
This item exists. This item exists, bro, friend. This item exists, but like just.
So don't give me no back talk.
Okay. Take a second to just let's go back in time, and let me just show you something. Like, let me just like. Concentrate. This was back in the day.
Try World of Warcraft free at warcraft.com.
Find a Night Elf Mohawk in-game and claim your Mohawk grenades.
Rated T for teen. I'm Mr. T and I'm a Night Elf Mohawk. What's your game? Some smack-talking fool's been saying Mr. T can't change the World of Warcraft. He ain't no computer hacker. Well, answer me this, suckers. How do you explain the Mohawk grenade? Yeah, wherever I go, I'm making Warcraft look good. So don't give me no back talk. Try World of Warcraft free at warcraft.com.
Find a Night Elf Mohawk in World of Warcraft and claim your Mohawk grenades.
I actually fucking like completionism. I'll actually need to fucking like get this Mohawk grenade.
Rated T for teen. I'm Mr. T and I'm a Night Elf Mohawk. What's your game? Some suckers think my Night Elf Mohawk is a hoax, like jackalopes or the moon landing. Well, it ain't. So I'm hunting them down with my latest invention, the Mohawk grenade. Yeah, wherever I go, I'm making Warcraft look good. So don't give me no back talk. Try World of Warcraft free at warcraft.com.
Find a Night Elf Mohawk in-game and claim your Mohawk grenades.
Rated T for teen. I'm Mr. T and I'm a Night Elf Mohawk. What's your game?
Okay, so can you believe that like World of Warcraft back in the day, it was just like warcraft.com. Can you believe that? There was like 3 fucking commercials just for like Mr. T. Do you remember Mr. T? Do you know who the fuck Mr. T is? Bro, he's the dude from like Law and Order. He was like a fucking rapper and stuff, like, and they did it for like many other people, like.
Hello, I'm William Shatner, and I'm a shaman. I'm a conduit of the ancient forces of nature.
Wow, what the fuck?
You're no doubt wondering, hey, Shatner, how do I hurl bolts of lightning? Simple. Get World of Warcraft, dog. You can be anyone you want. I'm William Shatner, and I'm a shaman. What's your game?
World of Warcraft, the #1 online game. Try it free at trywarcraft.com.
My name is Vyrah. I live in Hollywood, California, and I'm a mage. A master of the arcane.
Wow, this is a cool.
There are 9 million players in the World of Warcraft, It's huge, like my mage. I'm Vern Troyer, and I'm a mage. What's your game?
World of Warcraft, the #1 online game.
Okay, so this is actually so fucking meta, even now. Like, to actually, like, and this is actually so fucking, in, like, how is it called? Like, just like, mm, just like such a loving, like, sentiment, because they really, like, um, it's so integrist. Like, can you believe how cool, like, they this person actually, like, has a fucking disability, technically, dwarfism, right? Can you believe how fucking awesome, because of, like, because, like, bro, like, you play WoW, like, a lot of people play gnomes, but, like, they really, like, fucking were able to take a gnome and, like, take a gnome character and take someone, like, that suffer from dwarfism, and actually, like, fucking make it sound cool, and fucking, like, make it sound great, and actually make a commercial that, like, hey dude, like, look at that, like, you can be as cool as me. And you know why it's fucking fire? Because it's a mage, also, but also because, like, maybe you don't know this, but, like, when you watch it, like, it's so, like, it feels natural, you know, like, it doesn't feel intrusive, or, like, it just tells you, bro, like, I'm a dwarf, like, I'm a dwarf, I'm a gnome in real life, technically, and I play a gnome in fucking WoW, and I'm cool as fuck. And, like, this is, like, something that, I think that, like, they really, like, that really takes a lot of, like, love to actually do. Like, I don't know if you get me, but, like, it's so intrusive. This was, like, back in the day, people were, like, not sharing some love, and they show a lot of, like, different, like, like, each time a different, like, really different person, completely. Mr. T is a black American rapper slash actor, person. Then there is random, like, monk dude. Then there is someone, someone who was, suffered from dwarfism, but basically a real life gnome, right?
What's your game?
World of Warcraft, the #1 online game. Try it for free at warcraft.com.
Mon nom, c'est Jean-Claude Van Damme, et je suis un mage. Le corps à corps pour moi maintenant, it's over. Maintenant, je lance des sorts powerful. Si tu me cherches trop, je te transforme en sheep. Un mouton. Parce qu'on est tous un peu moutons, tu sais. Je suis Jean-Claude Van Damme, je suis un mage. Et toi, à quoi tu joues?
World of Warcraft. Essayez-le gratuitement sur warcraft.fr.
I'm a fucking Jean-Claude Van Damme, bro. Like, well, you see all look like, so obviously, what's this?
The Osborne, and I'm the Prince of Darkness.
Cut! The Lich King is the Prince of Darkness, Ozzy.
Well, maybe you're the one who's been riding a crazy train, but I've been the Prince of Darkness since 1979.
There can be only one Prince of Darkness.
World of Warcraft. Try it for free at warcraft.com.
What's your game?
Can you believe how meta this is? Can you believe how meta this is? Like a fucking commercial for a video game these days, like nowadays, like in current day, it would still fucking, like, be meta. Can you believe this was, like, fucking 15 years ago? Like,
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Join 11 million players online as the hunt for the Lich King begins. World of Warcraft. Try it free at warcraft.com.
What's your game?
Chuck Norris is a hunter, but Chuck Norris does not hunt. Hunting would imply the possibility of failure. There are 10 million people in the world of Warcraft because Chuck Norris allows them to live.
I'm Chuck Norris, and I approve this game.
World of Warcraft. Try it free at warcraft.com.
What's your game?
Bro, like, can you believe, like, bro, like, fucking, like, how meta they were? Like, they used the fucking Chuck Norris jokes. So if you don't know, like, basically Chuck Norris jokes are basically like, the world doesn't revolves around you, it revolves around Chuck Norris. Like, basically Chuck Norris is the best, and basically it's the same type of jokes over and over, right? Like, it's like, Chuck Norris tried to kill time once, and he actually mistakenly did. Like, stuff like that. And this was like fucking like, I'm seeing Aubrey fucking Plaza, fucking like best girl from Office, bro. What the fuck? Like Audrey Plaza, like they were so ahead, and like, bro, like she became, like, she's still acting. Like, I cannot believe it. Like, I can't believe in the variety of, like, the people that they choose. Let's watch this.
So my boyfriend gives me World of Warcraft for my birthday, and I'm like, I said diamonds. Then he starts telling me I can mine diamonds in the game. Whatever, I tried it anyway. One day he comes in and says, I think you like that game more than you like me. And I realized he was right. So I dumped him.
World of Warcraft. Try it for free at warcraft.com.
What's your game?
Can you believe how fucking like ahead of its time, like this content is? Like, they were so ahead of the curve, like, bro, like, and they were so like yeah, this is so ahead of its time.
It's not easy being an orc. My friends used to make jokes like, orc, the other white meat, or put an orc in it. I told them I'd throw them into the depths of rage fire chasms.
Rage fire chasm.
I've never faked an orc chasm in my life.
World of Warcraft.
What the
Try it
fuck?
for free at warcraft.com.
I'm Aubrey Plaza and I'm an orc. What's your game?
Je m'appelle Alexandre Astier, je suis un paladin. C'est moi qui chapeaute un petit peu tout le...
Tous ensemble, mes braves compagnons.
Ouais, enfin tous ensemble, ça veut pas dire à vous 10 mètres derrière.
Oh, et vous barrez pas. Oh, vous revenez ou je vous savate.
Je m'appelle Alexandre Astier, je suis un paladin. Et toi? À quoi tu joues?
World of Warcraft. Essayez-le gratuitement sur warcraft.fr.
Je m'appelle Alexandre Astier.
So this dude, if you don't know him, I'm actually French. So yeah. But so this dude is actually a French actor, and yeah, like, he plays a knight in a TV show called Camelot. Like, he plays like King Arthur, actually, in Camelot. That's why he plays a paladin, and it makes sense, actually. Alexandre Astier.
Et j'ai le pouvoir de ressusciter les morts. Alors attention, parce que je ne peux en ressusciter qu'un certain nombre. Pas en ressusciter... Voilà, ça par exemple, je peux pas. Et toi, à quoi tu joues?
World of Warcraft. Essayez-le gratuitement sur warcraft.fr.
Hola, mi nombre es Willy Toledo. Y soy un paladín. Soy una mezcla de lanzador de hechizos y luchador cuerpo a cuerpo.
Cuerpo a cuerpo, claramente lo que a mí más me gusta.
Pero esto es muy serio. Soy el protector de la luz sagrada. Soy Willy Toledo y soy un paladín. ¿Y tú?
¿A qué juegas?
World of Warcraft, juego online número 1 en el mundo. Pruébalo gratis en pruebawarcraft.com.
Wow, bro, like, okay, so check how fucking like they all
This here in the World of Warcraft.
so they fucking like Mr. T. They did like a promotion for like a Mohawk grenade. Do you understand how fucking like useless it is to like for someone who never played WoW to fucking hear that like there's a Mohawk grenade in a fucking random video game? Then they fucking like got fucking like this dude, I don't know who the fuck he is, but like shamans. Then I don't know who he is. I know he is a celebrity, but like I some like a dude suffering from dwarfism, but like basically a real life gnome. Like then fucking Jean-Claude Van Damme. Then fucking like fucking how is it called? What? King of Darkness. Ozzy Osbourne, right? The only name that like fucking Ozzy Osbourne, right? Then out of then the dude from like the fucking mafia movies, like Chuck fucking Norris, Aubrey Plaza, Aubrey Plaza, and like fucking Alexander Astier and some like random Latino dude that like I do not know at all. But like Willie Toledo. Can you believe like how how varied like the people that they actually like I think that like this is like a great job of like this is a great fucking like work of art when it comes to commercial and ads in general. It shows you how it's done. Like the content that like they show, it is like it is meta when it comes to like the social part, right? But at the same time, it's so fucking like nerdy. It's so fucking like, bro, like is it fucking like Mohawk in the game? Like, okay, try to imagine this. You never played WoW, and you because this was on TV, right? And you see Mr. T fucking talking about like some video game where you can play online and there is a Mohawk grenade, right? Then there is like, so this is like more of the like like casual type of stuff. Like being a mage is cool, but then like there is like a fucking like this is peak. The Chuck Norris one, because basically like it has like inside jokes about Chuck Norris that only fucking nerds fucking knew about back in the day. Do you know about like Chuck Norris? Because Chuck Norris knows about you. Like like basically like these jokes like write themselves. It's so fucking like funny. It's just like basically like Chuck Norris is the best, right? And he just like do unbelievable thing, and the joke is just like this unbelievable thing that like only Chuck Norris did. And basically like they fucking brought Chuck Norris and with like like nerdy meta jokes that are still like funny to this day, right? Aubrey Plaza, like Aubrey Plaza, I always thought it was Audrey. Basically the let me just like that like it's just like fucking like tell you about her orc life, right? And then like fucking Alexander Astier that plays King Archer in really like popular French TV show called Camelot, and that's why he plays Paladin. So it's really like an inside joke. You like if you actually are friends, you get to understand why it makes sense that he plays a Paladin and why he talks like this, because he kind of like talks like in a similar way to when he plays King Arthur in Camelot. So this is really fucking cool as fuck, and he has the same humor, you know, like kind of like in the TV show. This dude I don't know, probably like just like charismatic dude, like, but yeah, like, and this was on TV. Can you believe that? Like this was on TV, bro. Like, can you believe how meta they were? Like, and can you believe how ahead of its time WoW is, and WoW was, and just like, just okay. Let me, um, let me just like show you how I can bring you back. If you're a veteran, like if you're a fucking like an OG, let me just.
Qui chapeaute un petit peu tout le.
Warcraft.
So I dumped him.
Okay. Let me show you. Let me like bring you back to the fucking like to the fucking like vanilla era, to the fucking World of Warcraft era, like the classic era that everyone plays. Let me just show you how I can like put like take you back in time just by showing you the right fucking content, the right fucking thing. Just check this out. Are you ready for like to go back in time? Just just like nothing happened.
World of Warcraft. Try it for free at warcraft.com.
I don't know if it works, but like to me, this is nostalgia. Like, can you believe where the fuck does it lead? Like what like it's just like think like that. I don't fucking know, but like for me, it just like brings me back. Like it just brings me back. Like at Warcraft.com. What the fuck? And it like here you go. Now we go back to the present moment. Okay, so Warcraft.com. Mm, where does it fucking lead? Warcraft.com. So it got updated. It got updated. The same site. Okay, check this out. This is where it leads now. So right. It got updated up to the War Within. The link from like 15 years ago is still fucking valid. Can you believe that? Like it is still fucking valid. I mean, like the link is like warcraft.com, but like it's just unbelievable that like goddamn. Okay. Anyway, so that was thank you so much, Karim Nadik, to actually to actually like take the time to do this, to just find all of this, so to for people to just be able to relive this. But this is like quite fucking awesome. Like, thank you so much. And yeah, like, World of Warcraft, try it, like something like that.
What's your game?
What's your game? What's your game? What's your game? Huh? What's your game? Okay. Let me just check out how long I've been streaming for 8 hours. It's yeah, it is like It is 7 a.m. Yeah, I'll fucking like. Uh, okay. So, uh, let's react to something that actually so I've been like playing WoW, got back to WoW, but I wanted to react to someone actually playing Guild Wars 2. So basically, I played WoW. Final Fantasy is an ongoing like successful MMO, but Guild Wars 2 actually got like a unsuccessful release back in the day, but it kept on going just like Final Fantasy, because passion project, because they really loved what they do. And actually I want to see basically the like some dude, basically the editor of our channel that I will actually like share to you, and like actually loves Guild Wars 2, and he actually recommends Guild Wars 2, and I actually want to know why. So I want to check it out. So let's check out to like a recommendation about Guild Wars 2. After playing this much WoW, I'm so curious about Guild Wars 2 actually, because it kept going and it keeps on going, and it's not like updates like are still like same quality. Basically, like maybe it's the same story as with Final Fantasy, where it got released, it wasn't popular because the game was not good enough, but since it was an MMO, they kept updating and perfecting the game until it blew up. It became the fucking like MMO it is now. So let's check check this out.
This video is brought to you by friend of the channel, Squarespace.
So the channel is Skill Up. You gotta subscribe to Skill Up. Like this is like pure fucking dope. This channel is fucking dope. But anyway.
This video is brought to you by friend of the channel, Squarespace. Stick around to learn more about them, as well as a special offer they're making available through my channel.
I am often asked, Austin, why is Guild Wars 2 your favorite MMO?
I want to know. I am actually really fucking curious. I don't know much about Guild Wars 2. Maybe if I get the time, I will probably never get the time, but like I will. I want to maybe like I want to know, because like Guild Wars 2, Guild Wars was such a fucking like behemoth, Leviathan, when it comes to online gaming. Then WoW came out, and but Guild Wars 2. Why, Austin? Why is it your favorite MMO? Like, I want to know. Okay, let's check this out. I will shut the fuck up.
And by often, I mean never. And by asked, I mean I just come out and tell them unprompted whether they like it or not. Just like I will now do to you, dear viewer. There's a lot that I like about this game, most of which I covered in my review last year, but if I had to distill it down to what I think Guild Wars 2 does better than any other MMORPG, it'd be two things: the combat, and the exploration. Now, I've enjoyed previous expansions for the ways in which they've meaningfully built upon the game's combat with new abilities, alongside epic map-wide event chains and instanced raid-style bosses that are core to the daily reward loop. They've also all brought decent stories, game-changing features, pretty locations, and new stuff to chase. They've always contained the ingredients that constitute a good expansion, but I feel like the one thing that's been lacking, especially in recent expansions, is that exploration factor that made the base game such a memorable experience for me. In between rounds of Concord, I've been playing the latest Guild Wars 2 expansion, Janthia Wilds, which released that same week, and suffice to say, I've been utterly infatuated by it, in large part due to its focus on that very exploration factor. Janthia Wilds does bring with it great new story content, alongside cool features you can expect, like a robust player housing system, a new weapon type that expands the combat sandbox, and a revamped mount to broaden our traversal kit. But those are not what makes this expansion so great. What has made this the most engrossing expansion playthrough in recent memory is really how the music, level design, and abundance of activities weave together to form this cohesive, exploration-focused experience.
So this is kind of like what I was talking about like this success story, this comeback story that everyone loves. So basically a similar story, but probably that will not like get the attention it needs. About like Final Fantasy. I don't know, but like it is quite fascinating. I know nothing about Guild Wars 2, but like it is quite fascinating.
I had about 2 hours with it in a preview build about a month ago, and while I enjoyed what I played, I was admittedly worried about how it'd actually land, given ArenaNet had made it clear that this expansion would be launching with less of the repeatable content we've grown accustomed to. I think Janthia Wilds made me realize, though, that I don't need that stuff to have a good time with a Guild Wars expansion. On the contrary, in the absence of that traditional endgame content, ArenaNet have taken the opportunity to go all in on that exploration design philosophy, something that I honestly thought had been lost to time. In that way, Guild Wars 2 Janthia Wilds feels like a return to form, and couldn't serve as a better reminder of why I fell in love with this game in the first place. So I'll start by saying that this is more of a review in progress, as it's difficult to give a conclusive review until the rest of the expansion content is released.
So the game isn't like the most beautiful, but you gotta understand that like Guild Wars 2 is an old game. It's really old. It's not. So basically, it's just like the style. Like it's not your Monster Hunter that got released. It's not your Elden Ring that just shines. It has the MMO aspect of the engine, or like the graphic engines, and like basically like the stuff that it works on, like it is old and got updated over and over again. So basically it doesn't look like the greatest, but like I don't know, like it sounds cool. Like I'll stay. What was my favorite game, Austin? It is Guild Wars 2, and like I'm quite fascinated by it.
Over the next year, particularly when it comes to the story. This will be relatively spoiler free too, and I'll do my best to ensure this video is comprehensible even if you haven't played any Guild Wars 2. So let's begin with the story. I was pretty vocal about how much I enjoyed the story of the previous expansion, Secrets of the Obscure. It was actually one of the highlights. It kickstarted a new story arc for the game with a bang, introducing some compelling new villains and ending on a captivating cliffhanger that I was so eager to continue following. Unfortunately, ArenaNet really dropped the ball there. Without getting into it, the follow-up patches didn't remotely deliver on the intrigue that initial story set up. It was a bit of a low point, to be honest, but ArenaNet were quite forthcoming about their mistakes, and I was keen to see how they might take their learnings into the next expansion. Janthea Wilds, at least so far, succeeds in keeping that narrative scope in check, resulting in a decent story that manages to balance smaller interpersonal conflicts with a foe that's far more centralized. To my surprise, this is a pretty direct continuation of Secrets of the Obscure. Many of the events and characters from that expansion are brought forward here. I think some were under the impression that these yearly expansions would be fairly self-contained, myself included, but I'm actually glad they aren't, because I feel like that would result in shallower stories that feel inconsequential to the world at large. That connective tissue is felt immediately here in Janthea Wilds. We, as the player, are not just a messenger now. You know, we've earned our seat at the table at this point, and that leads to some great narrative beats like this one, regularly attending political forums with all the global leaders we've met throughout our journey. This stuff wouldn't typically interest me that much, and I've seen that some have found these debates too slow going, especially because they're mostly unskippable, but I personally really appreciated how they were used to update us on the people and events we haven't heard from in years. Despite us playing an active role, it makes the world feel large, like our actions have made a widespread impact. In our search for allies and a missing wizard, we've been sent to the Isles of Janthea, an ancient part of the world that we've only heard whisperings about between both Guild Wars 1 and 2. It's there we meet the lowland Coden, a settlement of bear people, and are welcomed by their leader, the appropriately named Stoic, alongside his son and the rest of their council. It's here that the core narrative through line makes itself apparent, that being the, at times, tumultuous relationship between Stoic and his son in the wake of conflict. I found myself genuinely invested in their struggle, in most part because the writing and voice acting here feels like a noticeable step up from previous expansions, specifically when it comes to these two.
For when the tide recedes, and it will, it weakens, till it has no power left with which to pull you. I tell him this while I stand ashore, with my own back turned to the sea.
I will say that the antagonists aren't given as much attention here. They're written like edgy cartoon villains, and it's not very clear at all what their motivations are. While that's certainly intentional for now to keep the spotlight on the personal drama, it does mean the current story doesn't end with quite the same punch as previous expansions. Goes without saying that that's all bound to be addressed in the follow-up patches. I am a little skeptical about whether or not it'll land given the quality of recent patch content, but I'm willing to give ArenaNet the benefit of doubt. Overall, this is quite a dialogue-heavy expansion, but I was thankful for it. It allowed me to properly get to know these new characters that take center stage, with a great balance between both emotional beats and moments of levity. Most of that levity comes when exploring the new maps introduced in Janthea Wilds, specifically the first map, Lowland Shore. This is the first expansion in a long while where I have been genuinely infatuated by the world, and they've done this through a number of small improvements that don't seem like much on their own, but combined do so much to service the exploration experience. It starts with the visuals. Lowland Shore is simply stunning. Don't get me wrong, some of the recent expansion maps look pretty good, but to me they felt like a step down when compared to the beauty of early expansions. This map proves that ArenaNet have still got the sauce, man. Like straight away, it's got this natural beauty to it as you're dwarfed by trees in a dense forest one moment, then turn a corner to reveal a village overlooking cascading waterfalls with an aurora borealis overhead. You seriously cannot go 5 minutes in this map without coming up over a hill and seeing some crazy view. I mean, just look at this. Like, what other MMORPG delivers fully explorable environments like this? In fact, there were many times it reminded me of Elden Ring or Dragon's Dogma in the way that the landscape stretches out before you. But in Guild Wars 2, you have the means to explore it with complete freedom. Level design isn't something we often talk about in MMOs, since zones are typically just pretty spaces for you to zip from A to B, but the Lowland Shore offers a great example of how Guild Wars 2 stands apart in that regard, inviting you to follow every winding pathway, look behind every waterfall, and actually contend with the verticality by using your suite of traversal tools.
So what I like the most about this fucking this fucking review is how passionate the dude is. This fan is about Guild Wars. Like, take the time to appreciate how fucking adorable this dude is about his favorite game. Like, just take the time to fucking like enjoy it, because you don't get to hear that as often as you should.
One of which being the new mount, which I'll come back to later. The Nordic influences come through here, not just in the level design, but also the music. The soundtrack for this expansion seriously slaps, like from the combat music that sounds straight out of The Witcher 3, to the melodic underscores reminiscent of Valheim.
I actually agree.
I think the music team really shines when they lean into those real-world influences, and they've clearly done that again here with the combination of strings and choral chants. I bring this up because previous expansion zones have always had quite ominous underscores, appropriately so, I suppose, but the chill vibe of this map's music and visuals make it a delight to simply exist in, and I suspect that's one of the main reasons I'll keep returning here. The other component is that this map is just packed with activities. Holy moly. They're just like everywhere. In fact, I keep discovering new ones every time I log on. Highlights for me include this Frogger style event where you gotta grab frogs and jump between logs floating down the rapids to throw them in a soup. I then swam into some random tunnel and found a beehive on the other side with a bee mini boss and a jumping puzzle. At some point I transformed into a salmon and raced other players downstream. There's even actual side quests now, and these are great too. For example, I'm still working through one that involved me gaining the ability to speak to animals and using hints to find them in the open world, and then convincing them to join a crew for a heist.
I have a proposition for you. A little, you clean my fur, I clean yours.
I do wish these side quests were a little less vague and had more unique cosmetic rewards to offer, as that's something I think the previous expansion did quite well. A big reason all this feels so rewarding is because of this reworked heart quest system. These are typically menial quests where you do some tasks in a small area and move on, never to be done again unless needed for a specific item. Now though, these hearts encompass a huge region, such that doing basically anything in the map contributes to them, whether that be those more low-key, chill tasks, random events, killing mobs, whatever. It makes the hearts feel less like tedious MMO questing and more like just a way to delineate quest hubs of sorts. I feel like this is what heart quests should have always been, to be honest. There's also now a tier system that allows you to unlock bonus rewards for follow-up completions, so you're incentivized to do them more than once, similar to a reputation system in other MMOs. On top of that, it's not like once you do the heart for the day, that activities in the area are now useless to you, because many of these activities will then provide tokens that you can hand in to almost instantly complete a heart on another day. Really surprised by just how cleverly this has all been implemented. I thought this might have just been a throwaway feature, and sure, maybe it is once you've gotten all the rewards, but for now this is really working for me. It respects my time and rewards me for continuing to hang out in these zones. The sheer volume and variety of activities here, combined with the excellent level design, has cemented Lowland Shore as one of the best maps ever conceived in Guild Wars 2. The second map, Janthia Sintry, admittedly isn't as impressive in terms of its verticality and density of events, though it does provide an interesting contrast to the serene ambience of Lowland Shore. The ominous atmosphere comes through in this thick haze, blanketing the landscape, a clearly inhospitable place where dull colours are only broken by the harsh red glow of bloodstones and the ghosts of those sacrificed upon them. I especially love this area with the heavy storm overhead and decaying bones scattered across the shoreline. Like I said though, there's a real lack of events here compared to the first map, and I hope it gets a handful more in the next patch. The highlight of this map is the world boss, or specifically bosses. This is a banger encounter that requires teams to take down 2 difficult bosses at the same time in completely opposite corners of the map. I love that each one feels so different to fight. One is a condition heavy fight, so you got to bring a lot of condition cleanse, and it encourages keeping a tight formation due to the AoEs and barriers that drop. The other boss does pretty brutal chunk damage, and her mechanics, like this one where you need to stack together in a line, often require spreading out. Really sick fight overall. I mean, the first time I did this, we did it with like 10
This boss looks sick. Like the boss encounters look really fucking sick.
Seconds to spare, and I've been in many groups where this has come down to the wire or even failed. Perfectly tuned to where world bosses should land, in my opinion. I think my main gripe with this expansion is just the visual overload when fighting the main new enemy type. I mean, these big purple swirly AoEs are ridiculous. Like, I already thought the Cryptus in the previous expansion were too much, so for these to be even worse in that regard, I mean, come on, ArenaNet, can we crank this down a bit? I actually like how difficult they are to fight, by the way. It was great to be forced into changing up my open world build to combat against their moveset, but just the sheer amount of AoEs with such huge...
So this is actually cool, forcing yourself to adapt to open world activities in an MMO. This is actually like good stuff. Like, this is legit. Like...
huge visual effects, and that needs to be toned down, especially on non-boss mobs. Speaking of combat, there's been some cool new additions there. For the first time in the game's history, a new on-land weapon type has been added to the game in the form of spears, providing every class with a suite of new abilities. I've played around with most of them to varying degrees. I'm not really going to comment on how effectively they perform in endgame content. I know some are overperforming and others the opposite. That's all normal though, and given how frequently ArenaNet push out tuning updates these days, I'm not too worried about it. Numbers can be fixed, but the actual skills often can't, so it's a good thing that the spears offer some of the most fun skill sets in the entire game, almost every one of them boasting unrivaled visual flair and nuanced mechanics. For example, I mostly played the Ranger, where one of my spear abilities would make me go invisible, which then causes my other abilities to flip over into an empowered state, imbuing them with animal spirits for bonus effects. For Revenant, the focus is on spamming a single high damage ability that provides a stacking buff that you need to maintain, and the other spear skills reduce that ability's cooldown. Then there's the Elementalist, finally fulfilling that long-range spellcaster fantasy by planting down spell circles that get charged up when casting skills within them, which can then be unleashed to devastating effect. Well...
oh, this is actually a cool dynamic. To actually be forced to not move from an AoE effect to actually become more powerful. Like...
maybe after the next patch. These new spear skills effectively felt like an extra subclass on top of the already existing subclasses, offering new class fantasies and playstyles that felt really refreshing. I found these internal mechanics made each of them quite easy to get to grips with too. Often in Guild Wars 2, it takes a bit of research to figure out which abilities to press in what order, but these interactions make it immediately clear how the weapon is meant to be used. Another cool feature of Janthia Wilds is the Warclaw. So this is a mount that was in the game but only ever used in large-scale PvP, and in Janthia Wilds it's been updated to be a more functional mount in open-world PvE. To make the Warclaw the staple mount for this expansion was genuinely a stroke of genius by ArenaNet, because of how its abilities have been woven so elegantly into both the exploration and combat of Janthia Wilds. On the exploration front, the new double jump is fun and combines...
let me just like remove the closed caption so you can see the interface. And I can see
doing that with the dash makes this an excellent all-rounder mount for traversal, but its sniff ability can now be used to find treasure that contain valuable currency. So I was always encouraged to use the Warclaw instead of the flying mounts that typically trivialize the level design. On the combat side then, you've got this chain pull ability, which really I couldn't ask for a better implementation of. For example, you come across mini-bosses out in the world and they regularly turn tail and run mid-fight, so you gotta chase them down on your Warclaw, hook them with the chain, and keep tugging at it to wear them out. There's the world bosses I mentioned too, with phases where you need to throw the chain and then run around them like your Hoth speeders, taking down the AT-ATs, dodging AoEs as you do so. It's just integrated so well, supporting the exploration and adding an extra layer of dynamism to encounters, making this a remarkably versatile and fun to use mount. The final cherry on top for this expansion is the new player housing feature, Homesteads. This has been long requested by players, and it's safe to say ArenaNet delivered the goods. You're given a large plot of land with which to do as you please. There's over 300 objects at launch, and I'm told that'll be as much as 800 by the next expansion. You can translate, rotate, and even scale objects any which way you like, with an added fly cam mode to get a better view or decorate hard to reach areas.
Okay, so this is cool. This is cool.
The homesteads use a new special kind of material to craft decorations with, which can be traded for the various other materials you've collected across the game. I thought this was needlessly complicated and expensive at first, but after picking up all the upgrades to make it cheaper, I don't mind it. It actually allowed me to get a lot of use out of the materials I wasn't using at all. Likewise, the crafting of decorations has now given new life to many materials across the game that I previously didn't care for. The only real restriction here is the object limit of 1,000, I suspect for technical reasons. I've used about half of that already, and I haven't even decorated the inside of my house yet, so yeah, I'd like to see this expanded. Not much more to say about homesteads really. It's a flexible, robust system that allows you to build nearly anything you can imagine. It feels like a celebration of your account's achievements, allowing you to flaunt your mount skins in your stable, your other characters just hang out there, there are trophies from raid bosses, and in the next patch you'll be able to mount your gear on display. I was so sure this would not get its hooks into me, given there isn't a lot of actual utility associated with it, but as someone who has spent way too many hours in Halo's Forge mode, I can assure you it has now hooked me, and I will have spent all of my materials and gold by week's end as a result.
Halo Forge, if you know, you know. You're basically like a sandbox for Halo back in the day. Also, this dude actually knows his design. I like the way he designed his house.
Please send me a donation if you pass by. So that's Guild Wars 2 Janthea Wilds. By nearly all accounts, a very impressive expansion. There are charming new characters to meet and some awesome new additions like the spears, the warclaw, the housing, but what really elevates this from just another Guild Wars 2 expansion to a truly memorable one is that genre-leading exploration. In fact, that aspect is so good that it basically made me forget about the fact that this launched with no repeatable raid-like content, nor any of the massive, sprawling events that define much of the open world maps these days. The good news is that those things are still coming. In a few months, Janthea Wilds will receive its first content patch, bringing the first new proper raid in over 5 years, with a version of it that can be done with much bigger groups, which should fulfill the needs of those who prefer that kind of large-scale PvE content. The following patches bring with them...
So this is like the comeback story that I was talking about, that I really like about Guild Wars 2. Because like, yeah, like it just keeps on going, keeps on releasing, and it's actually become like a small successful, like the actual small indie company takes a still a big indie company to keep an MMO alive, to keep an MMO like running. But at the same time, this is the small indie company doing its best to fucking like have his MMO keep running. I love this, and I love Austin for like loving this game so much, because it is such a fucking like blessing to fucking just hear him being passionate about his favorite game. Like, this is just like music to my ears.
One new zone each, which should feel far more palatable than what we got with Secrets of the Obscures cycle, where one map was piecemealed over 3 patches. There's a new PvP map and mode coming at some point, the first in a very long time. Alongside all of this is a continuation of this story, as well as new loot, including a legendary spear and back piece, highly coveted pieces of gear that are sure to bring a whole new level of importance to Janthea Wilds content. And all of this is completely free if you own the expansion. Whether Janthea Wilds lives up to expectations over the long term remains to be seen, but bottom line, should you pick up this expansion? Absolutely, but if you care about the story, I suggest playing Secrets of the Obscure first to get acquainted with this new narrative arc. The game's max level cap remains unchanged, evergreen content keeps the entire game buzzing with life, and it's free to play with affordable expansions. It's honestly never a bad time to start playing Guild Wars, but with such a healthy population, an excellent new expansion to sink your teeth into, and much to look forward to on the horizon, that has never been more true. This expansion has reassured me that Guild Wars 2 will continue to be a lasting MMO home for many. It's been mine for years, and I'm confident it can become yours as well. It's with great pleasure that I strongly recommend Guild Wars 2 Janthea Wilds.
Guild Wars 2, Gentle Walls. This is, well, I don't know. Like, I'm a WoW, I am a WoW fan, so not for me. But I needed to know why he is such a fan, and I understand because I feel the same about WoW.
Have you ever thought about making a website? If you answered no, then that's a lie, because when I asked, have you ever thought about making a website, you would have been thinking about making a website. See? Gotcha. Okay, so Squarespace helps you build websites, really good ones, really easily. Squarespace have templates ready to go for whatever you need, from blogs to personal portfolios to online stores to weddings and more. And once you've chosen a starting point, you can begin customizing it in minutes. Want to change the color? Boom, done. How about the layout? Boom, easy mode. And like magic, when you've designed your perfect looking website for desktop, it automatically converts into a perfect looking website for mobile. No additional work required, it's just there, ready to go. Squarespace really is that easy, and if you're looking to get a website for any reason, be it personal or professional, then there's no better place to do that than Squarespace. As I mentioned earlier, Squarespace have re-signed the channel for another 12 months. I really appreciate that support, that's amazing. Squarespace are helping me turn my passion into a career, and that's what they do for a lot of people, because if you want to turn your passion into a career, then a website is a really good place to start. To get started, visit squarespace.com, and if you want to get serious, visit squarespace.com/skillup to get 10% off your purchase of a website or a domain name. Thanks Squarespace for sponsoring the video, and thank you for watching it.
Okay, so let me just, so this was actually released 7 months ago. So this is not like this is not irrelevant. So yeah, thank you Austin, thank you SkillUp for this video. This was actually fucking awesome. Guild Wars 2, maybe try it, maybe it's for you. For me it's WoW, but maybe it's for you. And maybe it's for someone. Alright. Okay. Okay, let me check one thing. I'm still okay. There was like a last one, a last video that I wanted to react to. Obviously some WoW. Let's react to some WoW. Actually, I was done with the game. I was actually really fucking done with the game, and look at me now. Like I actually like what is it? Okay. Okay, so some random fluff, random lore, rarest and most unique items from WoW. Let's try. Let's see.
In Warcraft, there are a lot of rare items, but, you know, after 20...
Why is it in Russian? Quality. Subtitle. Where is this? Here it is.
In Warcraft, there are a lot of rare items, but, you know, after 20 years of Warcraft's existence, it's worth starting to differentiate between a rare item and a hard-to-obtain item. For example, there's...
This is true, like there is like the low drops and there is like the actual, you get to, if you're playing with a friend, check this fucking thing that is fucking like, is fucking wearing, like, you have like, you can see the difference. Let's check this out.
The Invincible, the most coveted mount from the Wrath of the Lich King, but now, according to statistics, 19% of players have it, although it was once considered a great fortune to obtain it. In short, in this video, I want to gather stories about the rarest and incredibly unique items, titles, and exceptionally rare buffs to gather stories.
No, actually just noticed that like
Stories about the rarest and incredibly unique items, titles, and exceptionally rare buffs that are owned by only one player, or at best, a small handful of lucky individuals in the game, or even fewer. Let's go from the older expansions to the newer ones. In Anil, there were several stories of how players obtained items in a single instance. Since these stories are quite well known, I won't dwell on them too much. I will not. The Talisman of Binding Shard. This legendary necklace accidentally dropped for a group of raiders who were running Molten Core.
So this necklace was actually visible. Like it will like show something on your neck, if I remember correctly.
The item was not supposed to end up in the hands of players, as the talisman was a test item that was meant to be removed upon release. The legendary item wasn't powerful, even by the standards of that time, and since the item had already been given to one lucky player, a member of the group, a warrior, the developers allowed the player to keep the item. After that, the item was removed.
Here it is. Like this was like how it looked like, kind of like necklace, but like just back in the day.
From the loot tables, and the warrior from that raid became the first and last owner of this talisman. For many years, the warrior kept the talisman on his account, but at some point, the talisman disappeared from his armory. Therefore, either the developers decided to remove such items over time, or the warrior took off the talisman and placed it somewhere in the bank. The current fate of the talisman is unknown. Another quite famous story happened with another warrior by the nickname Narshi. Once, Narshi had a minor problem with his reliable Mechanostrider mount. He accidentally deleted it. So he contacted a game master to help him restore his mount, but instead of the usual solution, the game master decided to gift him the only fluorescent green Mechanostrider in the world. This instantly made the player a legend, as I think
what the fuck?
Every player of that time dreamed of having something unique to them. However, this story is quite sad, because a little over 10 years later, the developers decided to take away this legendary mount. Allegedly, Narshe attempted to sell his account on the Ovnetcore platform. At least, a person with his nickname posted at the end of Pandaria to find out how much his account with such an ultra-rare mount might be worth. There, as he was indeed informed, if skins from CSGO are being bought for $10,000, or perhaps even more, then you can probably expect a similar amount. Sometime later, the same...
I really don't know how the fuck they fucking find out the people that try to sell their rare items. Like now, selling accounts and stuff, like it doesn't really matter. But well, don't do it. It's still legal, right? But like, look at these criminals. But at the same time, like back in the days, they always found the fucking people selling accounts. It must be an IP thing or something. But like they even find the fucking like posts. It's like, my friend, internet is fucking vast. It's large. How the fuck do you find this random dude try to sell his random account? Like even if it like, do you fucking like follow the people that you offer stuff to? Like it's like I'm not the only one fucking like amazed. Like they always fucking find people try to fucking sell their account once they have like something a little special about it. Like millions of players playing WoW. One dude gets found out on a random server
Player posted again, this time with a specific offer to sell the account to the community. Initially, users were quite skeptical about it. After all, any random person can claim, "I own an ultra-rare mount, here's my Bitcoin wallet, send money." But it seems that verified forum users confirmed that yes, this is a real person, and you could even talk to him in the game. Allegedly, Narsha intended to sell the account for approximately $10,000 to $15,000. However, these manipulations were noticed by the developers, who decided to teach the player a lesson.
How the fuck do you know this? I guess like IP? Must be IP, but at the same time, like the dude like keeps his mount for like 10 years, right? And they're like, bro, like you try to do something, you try to do something like sketchy with your account. Go fuck yourself. We already know. Like, who are you?
They decided to take away his mount and replaced it with the most ordinary Mechanostrider. This meant that he lost what made him one of the most unique players in Warcraft. Probably, his mistake was that he was selling the account publicly. Anyone could go to the forum and see this sale announcement. And considering that he was quite a notable and well-known figure, he couldn't remain unnoticed for long. A few more times, unique items were obtained in Burning Crusade, Lich, and the Battle for Azeroth. Let's go through them in order. Ezra Chatterton is a well-known boy in the community who loved Warcraft. He started playing the game with his father, but unfortunately, Ezra had a problem, a terminal illness, that was rapidly taking years from his life. Since he loved Blizzard games, he reached out to the Make-A-Wish Foundation to help him fulfill his long-standing dream of becoming a part of Warcraft. He visited Blizzard's headquarters, was able to talk with the developers, and even created and voiced a character that became part of the game. This torrent from Mulgore. And to make Ezra even a bit happier, the developers gave him a mount that was impossible to obtain at the time. The Ashes of Allah. When he received the Ashes of Alar, no one else in the world had managed to obtain it yet.
This is such a beautiful like story. Like these are like the many stories that like WoW has within its community and what makes the game great. Don't follow the haters. Don't believe the people telling you that you suck at the game, that you are lame, and that you should fucking like stop playing because you struggle. Like listen to these stories. This is where the magic actually happens.
He became the first player in the world to receive it. Unfortunately, in 2008, Ezra passed away. The community was saddened by this news, and thousands of compassionate players decided to hold a march in the arenas to honor the fallen hero. A legendary blunder by the game master occurred in Lich. Once, a player had some issue with loot and decided to contact support to resolve the item problem. However, instead of help from the game master, the player received something even better. A chestplate called Martin Fury.
Yeah, this exists. Like, so this quality of items, a reliquary, like relics, is actually like dates from vanilla, actually. Kill all enemies in a 30-yard radius. Cheater. 100 charges. Like, in private servers, there's a couple of it. There was like also warglaves. Like there was like warglaves, this item, and I think a ring or like something. Like there were like three basically like reliquary items back in the day, back in vanilla. But like this quality dates from vanilla. Like above legendary reliquary, it dates from vanilla.
It was a test item from the developers. When using the chestplate, mobs in the selected area would instantly die, and it didn't matter whether it was a boss or a Borin Durotar. The player and his guildmates decided to take advantage of this opportunity to easily clear the recently opened.
Basically, the dudes like became like random guild, became world first during a race of Ulduar, like out of nowhere, and then they were like, "Why did we got banned? Like, how did they know?" Like, imagine like so there was like the world first race for like Undermine not too long ago, right? imagine like there is like the stream of method, um, liquid, and like I don't remember like basically like it was yeah basically like the world race. Then random guilds show up, and they fucking clear the world first, like with full like without a streamer. Basically, this is what happened, and people are like, they must be cheating, and they're like, how did they figure this out? How did they know this?
Opened Ulduar raid. This, naturally, was quickly noticed. Top guilds were sweating for months to kill a boss, and some no-name guild called Starinechkovaya was killing them in mere moments. The developers removed Martin Fury, annulled the players' achievements, and also issued bans to the guild members, and not only to those who were in the raid, when the guild master was jokingly defeating bosses with this item. Over time, the developers unbanned them, but the bad taste remained. The fate of the game master who mistakenly gave the player the test item is unknown, but it was assumed that he was either fired or received a severe reprimand. And this incident went down in Warcraft history as almost the only case when a player received developer items. But I think the real disaster would have been if the guildmaster had used Martin Fury. Not in Ulduar, but sometime later in the Ice Crown. And the last one. At the moment, the incident involving the acquisition of a unique item was also connected with the Make-A-Wish Foundation. I made a separate video about this story once. A terminally ill girl named Amara loved Warcraft. She reached out to this foundation to fulfill her long-held dream, to write her own small music track, which would become part of her favorite game. To hear it, players had to solve a large multi-layered puzzle in Karajan. As a reward for solving it, players received this cute cat, which was created based on the girl's real cat. Well, she was also given a unique mount, a Bengal tiger, which since the vanilla days had been shrouded in layers of legends and speculations.
I think you can only get it from like cards, cards. Remember WoW cards? No one knows about WoW cards, like card codes.
It was believed that there was a cave in the Stranglethorn Vale where some merchant sold this tiger. But that was just a big myth, and obtaining the Bengal tiger was impossible. It existed only in the game files. The developers gifted her the tiger and made her the very first owner of this mount in the game. In the last years of her life, the girl did not sit idly by. In her district, there was an issue with a large company, 3M, which for decades improperly disposed of and dumped toxic waste and was caught polluting with so-called forever chemicals. Specifically with this particular name. This was believed to be closely related to the abnormally high number of people in her town who died from cancer. She, by the way, also had a rare and incurable form of this disease. Amara, along with her like-minded supporters, was advocating for the passage of a law that would ban the use of these forever chemicals in her state, Minnesota. The bill, which went through 9 circles of bureaucratic hell and disputes with a megacorporation, was passed. Unfortunately, Amara passed away 2 weeks before its adoption, but it is likely that, through this, she saved the future lives of the residents of her district.
Damn.
There was an event in Vanilla. With the first invasion of the undead, necropolises of the Scourge began to appear in Azeroth, and terrible living dead began to land on Earth. During this event, you could obtain a set called Undead Slayer Armor. This set consisted of 3 items. The items were obtained as quest rewards during this event. In the quests, you had to kill the Scourge and defeat foes. Nothing remarkable for Warcraft of those years. After the event ended, it became impossible to obtain the items for 2 years. The opportunity to get items from the set reappeared. It came before the start of the Wrath of the Lich King, when the developers launched a repeat, more extensive and colorful event with the Scourge invasion. At that time, the developers temporarily opened the opportunity to obtain these unavailable items. Still, in the Lich. During this event, you could obtain the famous Arcanite Ripper. This weapon was an epic axe that looked like a guitar. By the way, you could actually play the Arcanite Ripper. When using the weapon's ability, the character would flip the axe and start playing it.
This was used like for for footage of L30 etc. Like check this out. I This was used for like some really like cool project later on. Like, and you can see them. It's still in. They're still in the Burning Crusade expansion. Like here you can see the Arcanite axe, and you can actually get the item in the black market in the game.
Like on some kind of rock guitar, after the event ended, neither the set nor the axe could be obtained anymore. By the way, speaking of weapons, it would be a sin not to mention the dungeon. Oldaman. This dungeon is famous for items that drop with an incredibly low chance. The drop rate is so low that players have to spend years farming for the desired items. Among the desired items are the Papal Fez and the Pendulum of Doom. The drop chance for these items is almost zero, and on the in-game auction they are priced at about 2 million gold. If these 2 million gold are converted into game subscription tokens, the player can play Warcraft for free, from 7 to 9 months depending on the game region. Quite a lot. It is still not very clear why the developers decided to make the items in this particular dungeon so rare. For example, this player had to complete 2,000 runs on current servers, and almost 3,000 runs on Classic Realms, to obtain the Pendulum of Doom. And in total, more than 3.5 years were spent on everything. And this person had to complete over 7,300 runs for this axe. In short, it will take years to obtain all the rare items in the dungeon. Besides the Pendulum of Doom and the Papal Fez, there are at least 5 more items worth noting. These are the Kylos 5000, a rare axe with a drop chance of 1 in 1,000%, the Miner's Cap of the Depths, the Shadowgore, Bushmaster, On the Shoulders of Lost Ages, and the Hammer Drill. Maybe these items aren't as expensive and valuable as the Pendulum of Doom, but on the in-game auction, they also go for about 1.5 million gold each. People who obtain these items are either very lucky or extremely dedicated farmers who spent many months of their lives acquiring them. The recipe for artichoke tea. This
Okay, just give me a...
item in some
So this also like is in the black market, so I don't know. Never understood it. It is technically like really good, but I don't know.
some ways is a mistake. It used to be sold by an NPC in Hillsbrad. The problem was that not all players could obtain this recipe, only rogues who completed a specific class quest chain. The recipe was used to create a tea that restored 100 energy points to a rogue. However, it was discovered that the recipe could be sold on the in-game auction. Most likely, the developers did not want this. They intended for only rogues who completed the corresponding class quests to possess this recipe.
No, that's probably a mistake.
Everyone who has the cooking skill. Therefore, the recipe was soon replaced with an identical recipe that, once purchased, was bound to the player's character. But the old version, which could be sold anywhere, did not disappear. It could still be sold and used. Whenever one wished, this led to the original recipe rapidly increasing in value on the in-game auction. Especially after the quests that granted access to the recipe were removed with the release of the Cataclysm. In 2010, the recipe could be bought for 25,000 gold. In 2014, it was selling for several 100,000 gold. And closer to the Legion, the price was approaching 1 million. At that That time, with that amount of money, you could play for almost a year or even longer for free in Warcraft thanks to subscription tokens. On the forums, there were even occasional rare players who found the original tea recipe on their old abandoned accounts. However, in the Legion, the developers decided to bring the tea back into the game and added an NPC in the Legion from whom it could be purchased. And in Dragonflight, the developers decided to make it so that the recipe could be randomly obtained from mobs in dungeons. So the value of the recipe is not as great as it used to be. By the way, on old accounts, players managed to find even more exotic items. For example, in Lich, there was a promotional event with a famous actor and wrestler named Mr. T. The developers created his prototype within the game, a kind of brutal elf. And this elf could also give you a special grenade. When the grenade was thrown at another player, it would place a mask with the elf's face on them, resembling Mr. T himself. It was a short event, after which the grenades, along with Mr. T himself, were removed from Warcraft. However, there are very rare players who have managed to keep the buff with the elf mask to this day. Allegedly, the last person to appear with this buff on the game forums was a user with the nickname The Nan Harmony. On his old alt, the buff for the mask still has 3 minutes left. And at the time of posting the message on the forums, the player had kept this buff for almost 13 years. But, unfortunately for him and other people who had kept this buff for years, the grenade from Mr. T became available again. Recently, on the 20th anniversary of World of Warcraft, the developers brought the legendary elf back into the game. And among other things, the anniversary vendors were selling those very grenades with the cosmetic buff. So the uniqueness of the original buff keepers was lost.
Well, technically it's a good thing. You give people what they want and don't be oppressive. Like, don't be mean about like fucking like it's set for like a couple players, but it's good stuff.
Previously, Blizzard periodically opened temporary tournament arena servers. On these realms, players could immediately get good PvP gear, form teams with their friends, and without delay, head into battle against other players in the arenas. The very best players had the opportunity to earn a couple of rewards in the form of pets, or even the chance to participate in major arena events, tournaments with prize pools. Rewards also included titles. Access to these realms, by the way, was not free. Players had to purchase tickets, and only after buying them could they access these realms. In 2013, the last tournament arena servers were closed, and players were given a commemorative title as a farewell. Conqueror. It was awarded to all arena teams on these realms that managed to enter the top 1,000 before they were closed. The achievement was transferred to regular servers as well. Given that almost 12 years have passed since this title was awarded, there are hardly any Conqueror title holders left. Only a rare few remain, and not on every server. By the way, speaking of rare titles, it would be remiss not to mention two more titles that are not much less rare than the Conqueror. These are the High Warlord, for the Horde, and the Grand Marshal, for the Alliance. They could be obtained if a player in the original vanilla was an extreme no-lifer. This is because the titles were unlocked by achieving the maximum 14th PvP rank. I have talked many times about how difficult it is.
Yeah, this was like quite a fucking grind. Like, you needed to be good and to have like spend all your days like just grinding. Like, there is like also like the world first. Basically, like back in the day, world first, you get rewarded with like a title if you finish the raid first in your realm or in the world. It was in the realm.
To summarize, in order to farm the title, players would have to spend several months in hardcore grinding on the battlegrounds. And considering that each week players lost a certain percentage of points of honor, and the amount of honor points required to move to a new rank was constantly increasing, it required grinding enemies literally every day for hours. 10 to 15. After vanilla, the ranking system was reworked, and earning these titles became impossible for several years. They remained only with the rare PvP players from vanilla. However, things changed after a couple of expansions. In Cataclysm, both of these titles and the corresponding achievements were decided to be updated. After Cataclysm, these titles could be obtained not only by holders of the 14th rank in vanilla, but also by those who managed to reach a 2400 rating in arenas, which also requires tremendous effort. But at least this opportunity still exists now. Thank you for watching. Good luck.
Okay, so this was the rarest and most unique items. Yeah, this story is like I'm so used to like listening to these stories and knowing them. It's been so long. Thank you, Nick War for this video. This was good stuff. Yeah, I'm so used to actually like knowing these stories that for me it's actually like I'm like you probably heard about it. Who the fuck heard about like fucking the but also like beautiful stories. Like this is actually the good stuff about WoW. Like these stories about like just keeping people together. You know, like. That's why I said, like, don't listen to the haters, don't listen to the people just jaded and just um just basically rude and vulgar and just like mean to you in the game. Listen to these stories and keep playing because then the magic happens, you know, the magic happens. Okay. Um. Okay, so there was like one last thing that I wanted to mention about about today. Let me just go. So I will finish on that. I still have like duty, like fucking content creator duty to do before I go to sleep. Am I am I dead inside? I'm probably dead inside. Um, like, let me just. So I noticed something about my YouTube channel. So, mm, mm, so, uh, basically, I I have like I have my archive like VOD channel. I keep it it is mostly like it is from back in the day when I started streaming, but it is mostly more for me. It is more for me than for you because I'll get to re-enjoy like some moments that actually like I really like well I really am passionate about. But so I noticed something that is really fucking funny, and this will be kind of like the story about like how success can make you like freak out, or like it's just like sometimes like like working like living your passion as a content creator, like it can be funny at times because so my VODs do not get views. I do not care. Like it is fine. No views, 2 views, no views, 9 views here, right? But then like so you can see there's a like all my videos is they get no views. It is fine, right? But I noticed that like one of my VODs, so you can see it. 1 view, 3 views, 1 view, 1 view, like 3 view, 0 view, right? And like 5 views, right? But one of my videos got promoted and it got 70 views. So maybe like it doesn't sound like a lot, but compared to like no views when it comes to the algorithm, this is actually like just fucking it's insane to make 70 views. I check I tried to fucking check. There is no comment about it, and it just got pushed by the algorithm. By now, like you cannot just like click on a video and it gives a view. Okay, so you have to watch it kind of at least somehow. At least you have to watch some of it to actually count as a view, right? But it got pushed out so much that I was like, did I do something like controversial, or like did something weird happen in my fucking VOD, because it keeps being promoted compared to like all my channel back in the day, like I had like more views than that, right? But like it's still like I don't understand, because like check this out. Well, like really, like the pattern, even it looks fucking stupid, just the way it is. Like it's just like no views, no views, no views, 70 views, and we're back at the, oh yeah, right. No, no, no. I remember that, like it's a VOD channel, like that no one that like no one cares about. It's just like random VODs, like so yeah. Back in the fucking usual fucking like numbers. So yeah, it's just kind of like like really kind of makes me feel weird about it. I almost freaked out. I was like, wait, what happened here? Especially, I didn't fucking did anything special in this. Like this is the most like no like non like compared to that, like I did like such like cool things that actually like improve my character, or like were like entertaining. This is like the most like random VOD to be promoted. Anyway, I just needed to fucking say that because I just watched this number and it keeps going up, and it keeps fucking making me go paranoid, because I'm just like, I will not watch 3 hours for like to verify if I fucked up somewhere, but at the same time, like, well, okay, I'll take it. Why not? I had to fucking like talk about it just because. Anyway, on this one, I am I need still to do my uploads. I need to do my stuff. I actually fucking did my React duty because like fucking like do stuff stuff works. Stuff if like it actually like it's popular. Well, not as popular as this random fucking VOD, but like so yeah, I'll go off. I'll see you later. Yeah. So let me check. This my camera fucking died. It actually became daytime. So yeah. I see you later. Stay toxic. Be toxic. Bye.